Hello and good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Impact Money Show. We're broadcasting live from Washington, D.C., where the cherry blossoms are teasing their peak bloom, set to explode in an all pink glory between March 28th and 31st. And the city's buzzing with more than just the promise of spring. It's Thursday, March 27, 2025, and we've got a powerhouse lineup today, diving deep into the swirling currents of money markets and the seismic shifts rocking our world. From Trump's tariff thunderbolts to crypto's wild ride, AI's relentless sprint to robotics' bold leaps forward, the global hotspots to local grit, we're peeling it back the layers, because here at the Impact Money Show, we don't just skim the headlines, we dissect them, shaking them out, and show you the cash flow driving it all. Before we plunge into the fray, let's fire you up with something colossal on the horizon. Mark your calendars May 27th, folks, because we're charging full speed towards the Bitcoin Palooza Las Vegas, tied to the massive BTC 2025 mega conference. Picture this high voltage showdown of crypto trailblazers, blockchain visionaries, financial renegades, music, art, fashion. Think Woodstock meets Wall Street, drenched in the Vegas neon. We're talking wall-to-wall panels with the sharpest minds in the game, late night jam sessions, morphing into parties and predictions that'll sketch Bitcoin's next big leap. Whether you're a die-hard hodler stacking sats, a day trader riding the waves, or just an arts person, music buff, curious about this digital gold rush, this is the event you don't want to miss. We'll be there, boots on the ground, bringing you the raw, unfiltered pulse, because Impact Money doesn't just watch history unfold. We grab it by the horns and we ride it. Today's show is your warm-up for that May 27 madness, so strap it on in and let's roll. Right here in Washington, D.C., let me put my little thing there. Here we go with the current prices. Right here in D.C., the news is popping like firecrackers as of this morning. Let's start with the U.S. politics and policy. President Trump dropped a bombshell yesterday, signing an executive order slapping 25% tariffs on all car imports not made in the USA, set to kick in April 2nd. He's dubbed it Liberation Day, a chest-thumping move to turbocharge American manufacturing and bring jobs back to factory towns from Michigan to Ohio. The goal is clear: make America the king of the assembly line again. But the markets, they're rattled. The Dow Jones took a 132-point hit yesterday, closing down about 1/3% at 42,454. And Tesla, shed 6%, like it's shedding market cap on a treadmill. Why the jitters? Tariffs could mean pricier cars at the dealership, supply chain snarls, and maybe a trade war backlash from Japan, Germany, or beyond. Dow futures are clawing back a bit this morning, up 62 points, about 1.15%. But the S&P 500 futures are down a whisper at 0.06%, and the NASDAQ futures are barely blinking, down 0.04%. It's a mixed bag, folks. We're watching every tick like hawks. Trump's not stopping at tariffs, though. His administration is hitting roadblocks elsewhere. The federal judge just shot down his bid to ban transgender folks from enlisting in the military. It's a win for the inclusion buff, but a dent in his culture war armor. And an appeals court upheld a block on deportations under the Alien Enemies Act, stalling his plan to ship alleged gang members to El Salvador. Immigration's a powder keg. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem made a high-profile trip to a max security prison in El Salvador, eyeballing deported Venezuelans, spotlighting Trump's hardline crackdowns. Meanwhile, ICE nabbed Tufts grad student Ramesa Oztek over alleged pro-Palestinian activism tied to Hamas, igniting a firestorm. Is it a security clampdown or a free speech overreach? Protesters simmering here in D.C. Last week, 100 folks stormed the Georgetown Tesla dealership to slam Elon Musk's federal jobs cut crusade, and pro-Palestine rallies keep pulsing outside the White House. The city's a pressure cooker, and we're right here in the thick of it. Zooming out on the global stage, International affairs are a roller coaster. 4 U.S. soldiers have vanished during a training op in Lithuania. NATO is scrambling to clarify that they're not dead, but it's a nail biter for the alliance. In Greenland, Denmark's prime minister is waving a red flag over Trump's persistent territorial crush as J.D. Vance preps a visit. Politics meets real estate, Trump style. Turkey's cracking down hard. I will say it's kind of a funny joke. A lot of people think Trump's going to get Greenland for the U.S. I think Trump's getting Greenland for Trump. I know that might not be a popular opinion, but that's what I think. Anyway, Turkey's cracking down hard, rounding up over 1,100 people amid protests, while Russia's latest strike on the Ukrainian hospital underscores the grinding stalemate in the ceasefire talks. The Ukraine war is at day 1,127. Trump's Tuesday push for a 30-day Black Sea and energy pause hit a wall Wednesday, with Kiev reporting port strikes and Moscow squatting drones. Today, French President Emmanuel Macron hosted the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky and UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer in Paris to rally military support. Escalation is looming if this truce unravels. Putin's forces are close to retaking Kursk, backed by 11,000 North Korean troops, testing Trump's 24-hour peace pledge. Tech and media are buzzing like a live wire. Trump's teasing a tariff rollback on China to grease the TikTok sale. By April 5th, a complete 180 from his ban the app days, showing he's playing both sides of the trade game. Microsoft's dropping 2 AI gems, researcher and analyst. For Microsoft 365 Copilot in April, supercharging productivity with cutting-edge research and data crunching capabilities. These tools could redefine how business operates. We'll dig into that a little bit later. I'll tell you, I use AI every day, putting together everything. Even just we mentioned Bitcoin Palooza, but the other events that we do, the Washington Elite events. I mean, just everything. I use it every day. It's unbelievable. Local U.S. stories are popping too. A luxury RV lot in California's cities of industry is overrun by homeless squatters. Spiking crime concerns and questioning concerns about housing policy. In L.A., Metro's expanding its Dodger Stadium Express service, a win for fans, while a Vermont Avenue bus lane proposal stirs heated debate over the traffic safety versus congestion. These are the small ripples that hint at bigger economic waves, and we're tracking them. Now let's shift gears to the money, because that's the lifeblood of this show. The U.S. dollar index, the DXY, is down about 0.1% at 104.45, a slight hiccup after testing resistance at 104.75 earlier this week. Trump's tariff announcement initially pumped the dollar. Investors saw it as a pro-U.S. manufacturing boost, but now they're reassessing, chewing on potential inflation flakes and retaliatory trade measures that could dent demand. No one's talking as well, and I'm going to put out an article about this. I don't know about today. I have to do a couple interviews, but they already started printing money again. Jerome Powell and the banking cartel, the Federal Reserve, have already started printing money again, which is what Matt Dixon and I warned was definitely going to happen. We thought was definitely going to happen. Anyway, talking still about the U.S. dollar. Traders eyeing a correction if the support at 104.8 gives way. We'll see. Tomorrow's PCE numbers. Inflation report is a big wild card. A cooler than expected read could fuel bets on earlier Fed rate cuts, pressuring the dollar further, while a hot number could reinforce the Fed's cautious stance, projecting just 2 cuts in 2025. Gold riding the uncertainty wave, up 0.77% at $3,045.80 as tariff chaos and Middle East tensions drive safe haven buying. Central banks and big investors are stacking physical gold, with chatter pointing to leverage in derivatives markets. 15 contracts per ounce hitting at supply strain. Silver's tagging along at $34.34, up 36.36%. But it's an industrial exposure. It keeps it from matching gold shine. Oil's taking a breather, down slightly. at 69.37, $69.37. It's down 0.4% as tariff-driven demand worries outweigh supply fears from Venezuela sanctions and Trump's Houthi strike from March 15 and 16. Yesterday, Brent settled at $73.79, and WTI was at $69.65, up 1% each, after U.S. crude inventories dropped. But today's dip suggests profit taking. Natural gas, man, it's cratering, down 3.5% today to $3.72. A milder April weather forecast and Trump's drill baby drill pushing signal a supply surge. The Houthis angles more about oil, although the Red Sea is a big shipping lane for natural gas. And the red shipping chaos is a mess. Asian markets are mixed bag. Hong Kong's Hang Seng is up 0.41% at 23,574, buoyed by tech, resilience, and mainland buying despite tariff overhangs. Japan's yen is continuing to slide. The USD GPY at 150.87 as I was putting this show together, down about 2% as the Bank of Japan hints at rate hikes, but keeps yields low, fueling the carry trade. Hedge funds are shorting yen like it's 2022, but a sudden Bank of Japan move could spark an unwind. 152 is the level to watch. Crypto is where all the action is at. The Bitcoin Palooza on March 27th in Vegas is our North Star. Bitcoin's bouncing at 87,400 as I was putting the show together. Let's see if that is still holding. Yep. For 87,480 currently, down 0.6% or 0.7% at the moment, after peaking at 90,000 this month. Altcoins are bleeding. Ethereum's off 0.5%. Ethereum's off by 1.67% at 2,033. Solana's down, and BTC dominance hits 59%. Tariff jitters and PCE anticipations are weighing, but this dips in an accumulation zone. Analysts whisper 169 by end of the year if macro plays nice. Join us at BTC 2025 for the full scoop. The great Matt Dixon here will join shortly and give us a more insight. Thomas Massey's a Capitol Hill firebrand. Yesterday, he unveiled H.R. 2356, the Dual Loyalty Disclosure Act. Federal candidates must disclose all citizenships. It's backed by Andy Biggs, Marjorie Taylor Greene, and Clay Higgins for voter transparency. He's pushing. Well, I'll get to that in a minute. So this is pretty interesting because, of course, should people that have dual citizenship, which is, of course, means dual loyalties, be serving in the U.S. government? I don't think so. I don't think that's a good idea. And, of course, if they are, they should at least disclose it, is what he's saying, so that we can make our decisions on who we're voting for. And if somebody has loyalties to another country, quite possibly we would vote differently, right? I mean, that makes sense. These are important things to know. I don't think this is the first time he's introduced this bill. We'll have to see. He's pushing H.R. 38 for concealed carry reciprocity, which means you can, if you have concealed carry in one state, you can still concealed carry in another state. But dreams of a national constitutional carry is proving rough. 29 states are on board. Massey defied Trump on March 11th funding bill. The lone GOP no. And he's raking in some good money from grassroots since Trump's primary threat. He's slamming the Houthis' strike costs, says it's Europe, Asia shipping, not America first. He's right. And he's pitching a food stamp soda ban, which is also, why should we be paying for horrible things that are bad for people, and we're going to end them up? If we have to pay for the people's food, we're going to have to pay for the people's hospital visits. Why should we give them something that's going to make them sick, right? His HR 899 to axe the Department of Education aligns with Trump's lean government vibe, but Massey's libertarian streaks keeps him unbowed. AI sprinting. China's DeepSeek V3 dropped Tuesday, challenging OpenAI, while NVIDIA's Jensen Huang bets on inference over training. Prepping an AI shift. XAI's Grok app hit Android yesterday, beta, but trending. Robotics, Tesla's Optimus is rolling out a 22 degree of freedom hand, eyeing $20,000 and $30,000 unit. NVIDIA's Groot N1 Boost humanoid robot and the bot company nabbed $150 million for AI household helpers. DC weather, low to mid 40s this morning. It's around 40 degrees right now. Clear skies. We have 45 to 50% humidity, light 5 to 10%, 10 mile per hour wind. Perfect for cherry blossom preparations. Local news, the festivals rocking with the pink metro train. A $1.1 billion budget fix awaits House approval today. DC's water pipe cleaning tweaks tap, and the Nationals' new uniform drops on Saturday. Trump's latest tariff rules. He signs the car levy, teased TikTok leniency, and shrugged off the signal leak from the Houthis chat. His voter ID order and the Greenland push stir waves. Denmark's bristling. Ukraine's war drags. Putin's retaking Kursk with North Korea's aid. Slow walk in Trump's peace deal. Gaza's dire. 39 dead yesterday. 61,700 since 2023. Of course, those are the numbers from the Palestinians. So if you want to take that and cut it in half, that's over 30,000 people. This is all amid genocide and ethnic cleansing cries. A UN report slams the healthcare ruin. It's a mess. It is a mess. What's next? PCE tomorrow could jolt the markets. April's tariffs could remold trade. May 27 Bitcoin Palooza at BTC 2025 is on our Ryan. Be there. Stick with us. We're decoding it all. I have with me here the great Matt Dixon. Sir Matt, how are you?
Hey, good morning, Bruce. Very well, thank you.
Nice to see you.
Got some interesting stuff to look forward to today, I think.
Yes.
Just one thing, we're on different sides almost with this Middle East Palestinian conflict and so on. But it's interesting. I don't know if you've seen in the news. The Palestinians themselves are now out there demonstrating en masse against Hamas.
I know. They put 50 people of them together. They probably gave them $100.
I told you're on a different side here. Okay. Well, anyway, let's get into the markets where I think we do have a bit more agreement.
We'll definitely agree on that.
Yeah. So I almost forgot to share screen, so I'll jump in and share my screen. Here we go. So I'll start off. I've got a few things to look at, but I'll just start off with Bitcoin chart. You can see that, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah, good. So we had what I've done here, first of all, I put it on the logarithmic scale. I don't usually use logarithmic scale, but I've done it just because it gives potentially some reasonable support here. So just maybe an indication of where Bitcoin is going. It's not a certainty, but I've basically got it labeled from the FTX low, which is definitely a completed cycle, I believe. It went from 69,000 down to 15,500 at that FTX low. So I started counting from there. And I think we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to give us a wave 1. Then we've got some kind of wave 2, whether it's there or there, makes no difference, probably there. An ABC wave 2. Then we've got to push up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for wave 3, a corrective wave 4. And we're currently on a wave 5. And whether that's complete there or whether we've still got further to go, I'm not sure, because it's maybe a 1, 2, 3, working on wave 4. But all I'm saying is I've got a support line I've drawn in here. Now, it's not perfect because it's not touching all the areas that I would hope. I'm just seeing if I actually move it there, might be better if we miss out the start of it. Oh, yeah, that's quite nice, isn't it? So that actually gives some indication that maybe, just maybe, Bitcoin has bottomed out at the moment because it touched this support here. And when you've got 5 good, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 touch points on this support line. Now, 5 touch points is pretty convincing. It tells me that there may well be something in this. And I've not noticed that until looking right now. But it's interesting when you go over and analyze, there's no clear way to do it. Sometimes you just mess around with the support lines and so on, and you find something that's quite interesting. So potentially, and we saw price turn there. That was actually one of those good risk reward levels that we talk about. When you see this, we'd already had 1, 2, 3, 4 touch points. So the fifth touch point here was a good risk reward level. So you could have put your stop loss just below and potentially trade to the upside. You can now move that stop loss into a guaranteed profit position. And if price goes up, you just make more profit. If it comes down, you stop out with a small profit. But whichever way you go now, if you've done that, you come out with a profit, which is pretty amazing. So potentially we may have, it could even be some kind of ending diagonal, to be honest. It's possible if we push up to new all-time highs again. Maybe we've got an ending diagonal in the making. That's possible, really is. That would tell us then that we have some substantial downside to come, but not until we've achieved this new all-time high that we're talking about. So that's actually really encouraging on Bitcoin. Before I forget, I'm just going to switch back to, I don't normally use logarithmic. I'll switch back to regular scale here. You can see when you switch to regular scale, it changes the chart somewhat. And we don't get that support, but a lot of people like to use logarithmic. We've been around for a long time now with Bitcoin. So I don't see any reason why not to use logarithmic in this case. Normally I would use it if there's a big variation in price. And to be fair, there is quite a big variation. 15,000 to 109,000 is quite a big variation.
Yes.
So, and it's been around now for a long time. So that 15,000, I think there's plenty of liquidity. So I'm not against using a logarithmic scale on this case. What I wanted to touch on today was, you did mention a little bit about 2 rate hikes expected during 2025. So yes. Whilst you were talking, I was just checking on this CME, this FedWatch tool. It's quite interesting. You're absolutely spot on, of course. So this is the outlook for May. And for May, the next meeting, FOMC meeting in May, for setting of interest rates, you can see there's an 89.1% chance that rates will remain on hold. There's just a 10% chance or 10.9% chance that they're going to reduce rates. So it's nailed on, basically. They're going to keep rates on hold in May. But we can actually look forward to the next meeting after May. So there we can see 56% chance of actually a reduction in rates, because the rate now is in the range 425 to 450. So there's actually a 56.1% chance we're going to see a reduction in rates by a quarter percentage point, 25 basis points cut, that we're going to see in June. 56% chance. So it's the greater odds. The chances of a hold are 37.6% chance, and the chances of an even bigger cut are 6%. So some people are thinking there are some potential concerns coming up. So there is just a small chance there that we'll see an even bigger cut, a 50 basis point cut possibly.
Wow.
But the chances are, so far in June, we're likely to see the first rate cut of the year. But interesting to go through. So you count that as one. What I'll do, I'll just jump through. So as you can see now, we're going to stay on hold for the next meeting at 425 to 450. So if I just jump to the end of the year, December 25, and you can see the expectation there is 375 to 4. So that is actually 50 basis points lower. That's the main expectation. 50 basis point lower than we currently are. So that's exactly what you said. 2 25 basis point cuts would arrive exactly at this. So this is, got good scientific backing for what you're saying here, that this is what the market expects, 2 rate cuts. And we could go through the individual ones. So the first cut, as I say, expected in June here, where we dropped from that 425 to 4%. And then July, again, we can see likelihood would stay on hold there, still 4%. September, okay, so September, there's a potential of a possible cut there in September. October, again, you can see. So towards the end of the year, so basically what they're saying is potentially a rate cut in June, and then potentially sometime in the autumn, another rate cut. That's what the market expectations are for the time being. So that would tell us that the economy is probably softening a little bit. They need to stimulate the economy. So the economy is slowing down. They need to stimulate it with lower rates. Bruce said they're already printing money.
Yep.
So they've already got some concerns that the economy is slowing. And that's why, as I said, when we looked at June, there was actually a chance of a 50 basis point cut. Not much of a chance, 10.9%, but a chance. So they're entertaining a potential cut, 50 basis point cut in June. You can see if you looked in May, there's no chance of a rate cut of a 50%, 50 basis point cut in May. It's only in June that we see the chance. Sorry, it wasn't 10.9, 6.3% chance of a 50 basis point cut. So you can see there's some slight concerns there. So let's head over to the markets as usual. We've looked at Bitcoin. There's still a possibility. We looked at the logarithmic chart and it showed really nice support here for price, and price is pushing higher. That's a possibility. As I say, my preference is still actually to use a regular scale for the charting. And using a regular scale, I still think that potentially this is just an A wave down. We've got potential. Oh, in fact, I'll show it better on this one. A wave down completed, B wave up almost completed, and possibly a C wave to come to actually complete the move on Bitcoin to the downside. Now that's my favorite outlook at the moment. And interestingly, yesterday we looked at this doji and we had a green candle following it, and I said, you've got to wait to the end of the day. I'm sure you remember me saying that, Bruce. Got to wait to the end of the day, because this green candle did actually turn into a red candle, slightly negative red candle there. Now today again, so far we're on a green candle, but again this could end as a red candle. Let's just see. It's very much crossroads. This is consolidation. Price not really going anywhere within this circle, and so we can't be sure. But we do have some hidden bearish divergence here, where we've got lower highs on price and high highs on corresponding RSI. So we do have this this hidden bearish divergence right up to the current, right up to now. So potentially that's telling us of continuation of downside. That would fit with my A, B, C basically scenario for the price of Bitcoin, where I think it's going. So need to keep an eye on that. There's GDP news out today. I said maybe it's yesterday. It's not. It's actually today. There is expected to be a substantial fall in GDP, but it's still going to be positive. So let's just see whether we meet expectations, beat them, or fail them. That will make a big difference on what's going to happen in the markets. So today's a relatively big day. Let's just see what GDP happens. And then tomorrow, of course, PCE is a regular market mover, as Bruce says. So let's just see. That gives us some indication on inflation. And we've got to get some clear answers about inflation, because that is actually what's going to allow for interest rate cuts. If inflation doesn't fall, if it's not declining towards that 2%, which is the Fed's target level, if it's not declining towards that level at least, then we're not going to see rate cuts. So we need to get inflation under control. And as we said before, these tariffs are a bit of a problem, because they do raise prices, which means it raises inflation, which means rate cuts are less likely. And we know that Trump has been pressuring Fed Chair Powell to cut rates, but genuinely he can't if inflation is still too elevated. We don't have to see it at the target rate, because by the time you get there, it's like a big ship. It's too late to make a change. But we need to just see it moving towards the 2% consistently for 2 or 3 months at least, or 2 or 3 meetings, before we can be before the Fed can be comfortable in actually reducing rates. So obviously at the moment they're expecting that to happen by June. They're expecting to see inflation dropping by June. But if these tariffs continue, if this tariff wars continue, then that is going to be a problem. I was looking today at well, as you know, I had a relatively negative outlook on Ethereum. I posted. Potentially, you know, I've said many times, Ethereum is not quite the token it used to be in terms of popularity, because nobody builds, or very few people build on Ethereum anymore.
I mean, you're talking like most people are building on Solana, I would say, and then the second choice is something again that's just cheaper to deal with, like BNB or something like that. Ethereum is it's far down to build.
Yeah, I mean, Solana is definitely for the memes. People are building on Solana for memes, but there's plenty of other choices, as you know. There's Algorand, there's BNB. There's so many choices out there now. Why would you go with something so expensive and so slow, effectively, as Ethereum? So that's why I think it's going out of favor. But even dead tokens, when I say dead tokens, I don't mean to be quite, but what I would consider to be a dead token, for example, One Harmony, still moves very much with the market. I think they've still got market makers engaged here because we see still see a lot of activity, but it moves very much in line with the market. So even though there's been, I think, very little organic activity on the One Harmony chain for a long, long time now, we still see the price move a lot. So no doubt Ethereum will continue, even though it's less useful than it was, it's still going to move a lot with the market. And obviously it has its own ETF now, so it's still a big, big player. And I'm not saying it's by any means a dead token. I'm just saying it's less popular than it used to be, and wouldn't be my choice for investment. So I think potentially we are talking about this WXYXZ, which is a triple zigzag or a triple correction, shall I say, to the downside. It's very, very rare to see a triple correction like this, but I think it's a real possibility because we do clearly we've got the A wave, a B wave consolidation, almost sideways, slightly up. Then we've got a W wave, then an X wave consolidation sideways. Then we've got an A wave down, B wave consolidation. Then we've got this Y wave down, then an X wave consolidation. So after a consolidation, you're always getting another move to the downside. And we are consistently seeing this consistency here with lower highs every time it's a lower high and every time it's a lower low. That is the definition of a downtrend. So right now, Ethereum has not broken the downtrend. And actually to break the downtrend, we'd need to break right back above this level at 2,800 odd. So it's quite a long way. It's 800 off that now. It's
actually diving even as we talk. We're having an effect on the market, I think, down to almost 2,000 right now, 2.5%. It was at 1.6, I think, when I talked about it 20 minutes ago.
Yeah, I'm not. I mean, actually, I can see the whole market's just beginning to drop a little bit because I've been watching Solana. Yeah,
true.
So they're all correlated, but they don't. When I talk about this correlation, it's quite interesting because I posted Ethereum with my negative outlook here, and I've said, and I mentioned yesterday, Ton coin is actually still one of my favorites. And look at Ton, it's booming, it's going really, really nice. So on my chart, up almost 6% today. But just to go out long term, just to scroll out long term, someone said, well, if you're saying Ethereum is going to drop by maybe 50%. With market correlations, you can't really see, even though we can see Ton coin is actually outperforming Ethereum massively at the moment.
It's outperforming the market massively.
Yeah, you still cannot see Ethereum dropping by 50% and Ton not being affected. So
agreed.
I had a look at it, and I think that maybe we've not quite finished this move down before we rally to new all-time highs. If we drop to these levels and anywhere below sort of $3, I'll be starting to dollar cost average if we get to these levels, because it could drop potentially all the way down to the support. The real support is actually around $2.1. So, half where we are now pretty well. So there is potential for some downside. As I said, with Bitcoin, when we look just now, there's potential for downside. With Ethereum, there's potential for downside. But if we see that downside, it should be the final move down in a corrective cycle, and we'll see that on Solana again in a minute as well. Should be the final move down in the cycle, and then we should rally to new all-time highs. Now, the reason I would really like Ton, if we were able to get into Ton around this $2 level, we can see the previous all-time high was $8.29. So you're talking basically 4x just to equal the previous all-time high. So that would be my target, because this again looks corrective to the downside. If we're able to pick up, so I'm going to dollar cost average from 3 all the way down to $2 cost average, basically building up my holding of Ton coin with a view, and maybe a stop loss below this dotted line, with a view to potentially going to new all-time highs for Ton coin. So 4x is one of the best potentials I've seen out there for a solid coin.
he got his brother, the Durab brothers. He got his passport back. Everything seems to be cleared up. I'm sure they lost a ton of money in that whole deal, but those guys make money, big money.
Yeah, massive community. Great technical statistics. I think they've got the world record for transaction speed. They are very secure, very cheap transactions. I know we talked about other networks. Ton is a great network. So well worth looking at. But again, I think potentially we're soon to see maybe a bit of a pullback on the markets before we then start to rally to all-time highs. I said I was going to touch on Solana because I think that Solana is another one of those tokens that potentially has more downside to come. Maybe I'll leave it on daily. Just open the chart out a bit more so we can see it more clearly. Yeah, there we go. So with Solana, again, this movement up looks like a consolidation higher, and I do think that we've got one more push down to go. And again, it would fit with my wave count from wave 3 at the top to wave 4 at the bottom. That's a corrective move. I think it's corrective. I'm very confident it's corrective in my view, because this is a triangle which can't be in wave 2 position. So it's basically a wave B position. So it's basically ABW, X, A, B, and looking at a Y wave down. So the Y wave itself is made up of 3 waves here. So let's just see. As I say, I think that there's a fair target for Solana potentially around $100. And again, if we could achieve $100 on Solana, then after that, expectation is we should or could certainly rise to new all-time highs again. You're looking even on Solana at about 3x if we reach that level. So, you never want to put all your eggs in one basket, but talking about favorite tokens, I think Solana and Ton would definitely go in my favorites basket, among a few others that were mentioned probably in coming days, maybe next week. But there are a couple that I really think have amazing potential. Memes are a bit out of fashion at the moment, as we can see with all of the memes. I mean, even Booker memes here is down at the moment when the rest of the market's up heavily. Booker memes is one of my favorites because it does actually have some utility, unlike most true meme coins. We mentioned WIF. I mean, if the market does take off and start to go to new all-time highs, even the memes will take off, and they're going to be aggressive. So we looked at WIF, and actually long-term, WIF is looking like it's got some amazing potential. Absolutely, seriously amazing potential. So I'm thinking from the all-time high there, we've got an A, a B, pushing down in a C wave. I think potentially we could even equal this low point here, this dotted line here. So we may have a bit lower to go. So that would align again with the other tokens that we've looked at, saying we're expecting some more downside. Don't know quite how far, that would be my limit. But if we see some more downside, again, it might be worth just adding something. It's a meme coin, so you wouldn't add an awful lot to it. But if this is an ABC, then we should rally to new all-time highs. And the X potential here is phenomenal. It's one of the biggest that I've seen. So I think WIF is actually, although I don't generally like memes, I would not put too much into it, but I think it probably would be worth if the price drops further, if the whole market drops further, and we see a bit further downward movement in price. Definitely worth probably putting a bit of money that you can afford to just put away, forget about it, and maybe in a few months' time, we've seen it rocket to the previous level. I mean, look at it. It was about $5, somewhere around the $5 level, and look at it right now. It's 16 cents.
Woo!
Well, I'm sorry, that's the low point, not 16. Right now, it's 50 cents. But 50 cents to $5, you're talking 10x there. If it drops the low I'm expecting to the 16 cents, then you're talking 30x, aren't you? 30x. So massive potential upside there. So again, I think it's worth, when you're allocating your portfolio, to look at how solid a token is. So for example, the likes of WIF doesn't really have any real use case behind it, no particular utility or anything. So that's one way you put a small amount of money, but you've got massive potential for it. Obviously, there's massive downside as well, but massive potential. So a small amount of money there. If it comes right, you could make quite a decent amount of money. If it goes wrong, you haven't put too much, so you haven't lost too much. That's probably the way you should be looking at it. But with money that you want to be a little bit more conservative with, then maybe the likes of Solana, Toncoin, or if you want to be really conservative, you go obviously all the way up to Bitcoin. And Bitcoin is probably the safest of all the cryptocurrencies. And even Bitcoin, I mean, it's quite interesting when you look at X potential. So we looked at with, potentially as much as 30x if it drops that low level, but even at current point, 10x from where we are right now, potentially 10x potential to reach the previous all-time high. Bitcoin to reach previous all-time high is not even, it's not 2x, it's 1.5x or something of where it is now. It's not even 1.5x, is it? 1.3x of where we are now. So potentially 30% upside to reach the previous all-time high. Width is 10x, so 1,000% potential upside there. So that's how you allocate your portfolio. Obviously, the safe one is not going to get such amazing returns. But Bitcoin can obviously sail through its previous all-time high. I'm not saying it can't. It certainly can. But then so can the other tokens as well. So I think that's a good little lesson on portfolio construction, how to allocate your risk. I did mention, as I say, about Solana. It's one I'll definitely be adding. So I just think a portfolio, even among crypto itself, should be well diversified. So my favorite at the moment probably would be actually Toncoin in terms of X potential and some level of security. The fact it's got such a massive community, it has great use case, it has great fundamentals. So for me personally, Toncoin would be a major holding, but I think always Bitcoin is the big daddy and it's the secure one, and it's obviously got the ETF and it's got institutional and government interest. So that's where, if you're just dipping your toes, if you're new to crypto, probably best to start with something like Bitcoin, which is still highly volatile, but not quite as volatile as some of the rest. So that would be a good way. And also even XRP obviously has some amazing potential, but probably now, maybe not as much as some of the other tokens, but we've had what appears to be a correction down. And we may even have more to go with this correction down. I'm not sure, but I think we will reach new all-time highs again. But in terms of X potential, how many times can you multiply your investment? I think a lot of the gains have already been had from XRP. I guess there is still decent potential, but we have some serious bearish divergences in place. I'm just trying to look right now. We don't have any particular, but we did have serious bearish divergence in place at the top. So it signaled the actual sell point there. So we can see the high highs on price. And actually, if we drew a line, we can see corresponding lower highs on the RSI. So that was a very clear signal that we were going to sell off on XRP. Right now, as I say, there's no particular divergences. It's worth always looking to see if you can see anything. So if we look from the low point here to the high point here, we can see higher lows on price, but we also see higher lows on RSI. So divergence means there's a difference. They're going in different directions. And even if we look at the peaks, we can see lower highs on price and we see lower highs on RSI. So what we're seeing here is no divergence. So it's not giving us any particular indication of where price is going. So we're probably in the middle of a consolidation. And I think we'll probably get some divergence signal before before any major movement in price. I'll probably just finish up on gold. I like gold, and I think Friday is a great day to look at gold. Just look at it; it's playing with all-time highs yet again. Precisely what we said. So I think if this is a final fifth wave higher in this cycle, and as I say, this cycle is not the end of the move. I think this is just a wave 3 in the making. There'll be a wave 4 correction after it, then a wave 5 to new all-time highs again. But for now, from this wave 4, the wave 5 should be made up of 5 waves. So we've got 1, ABC 2, 3, ABC 4, working on a 5th wave. That 5th wave itself should be made of 5 waves. So just look at it. Wave 1 up, 2 down, 3 up, 4 down. We're working on a 5th wave. A 5th wave should take us once again to new all-time highs. And then I think at some point in the not too distant future, we will get a bit of a correction on gold. But as I say, it's not the end of the road for gold. I think it's just a correction, and will be just another opportunity to add more to your gold holding when we see that pullback. Right now is not the best time to add because it's virtually at all-time highs, and you don't chase prices higher. You wait for pullbacks to add to your position. So this is looking nice, though. Even so, even though I say don't add to your position, for those people who are already holding gold, I think there's more fuel in the tank here to go quite a bit higher. I've now got a potential target. I measured wave one, and basically I've got a potential target here of 3,101. Well, we're very close to there. I think we're 3,050 right now. So that'll probably be my next upside target. Could even go higher than that. That's just a target. Often with commodities, you see a fifth wave extending more than the third, which is unusual, but that's a possibility. So I'm still bullish gold. I'm actually still, definitely bullish gold, I should say. The rest of the tokens, as I say, I think that we probably have a bit of a more pullback to go before we see the major pump to new all-time highs. But as long as you're not leveraged short, you probably have no need to worry. I think that we will exceed these levels in the not too distant future. So even if you were to jump in long here, which I wouldn't necessarily recommend, I'd ideally wait for a pullback. But even if you were to jump in long as you can be patient, you don't need the money for tomorrow or next week or even next year, for example. I think you could make a lot of money on your money. And all the people I know who have made the most money out of crypto, some people now who are crypto multi-millionaires, they're people who just took long positions when they saw market pullbacks. They took long positions and they just held on to it until it reaches, the all-time highs that we're talking about. And I think with the adoption rates now, it's still good adoption rates. There's still growing adoption in lots of countries around the world. And obviously with potentially positive news coming out of America from the Trump administration, I think there's still loads of mileage still there. So on that positive note, I'll leave you for the weekend, Bruce. Hope you all have a great weekend. Thanks very much for listening and look forward to catching up next week.
Sounds good, Matt. It is always a pleasure.
Cheers. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Cheers. The great Matt Dixon, you heard him. He's already heading into the weekend, folks. I think I'm going to start my weekend today too. How's that? I have a couple interviews to do today, and then we'll be doing our thing. Of course, kids keep me on my toes too. A lot of good times, really. We're pretty excited. The time in the world it's a very historic moment. Certainly, Trump keeps our heads on a swivel. There's no doubt about that. But there needed to be change. I mean, whether you wanted the change or wanted the people to make the change or not, it's pretty interesting time. Yesterday here in Washington, D.C., we had the DC Blockchain Summit. It was pretty interesting. It reminded me, I remember when we went to Consensus in New York for all those years, and then all of a sudden one year there was all these suits everywhere. I was like, what is this? Suits everywhere. And so now if you look at the DC Blockchain Summit yesterday, I mean, it was, they had Donald Trump Jr., they had, almost at least half the crowd were lawyers. You had multiple, legislative leads. You had the majority whip from the House. You had senators there. I mean, this is they're really pushing this. Pretty interesting. And it does shoot off the warning signs to me. I have to tell you, we talked about this in New York when I was on stage with the great Lou Kerner at Crypto Mondays. When they break out the caviar and the champagne, it's probably the top. I'm not saying it is the top. Maybe it's not. But they're breaking out the caviar and the champagne and the lobsters, and now we have senators and congressmen shilling the chains. And I don't know, folks. Just be careful. That's all I'm saying. Be careful. Be careful. As Matt says, if you watch their show in the mornings, you're going to have a pretty good pulse on what's going on. Buy the dips if you're going to buy, right? Buy the dips. Don't chase the market. Trade smart. Get the facts. Matt delivers world-class analysis here. We deliver world-class analysis. I won't give all the credit to Matt, but Matt deserves a lot of credit for it. And you want to trade safely. We don't know what's going to happen here. It is a wild bag every morning here. I mean, just like even yesterday, I said it. I've said it on the show many times. I feel like Trump wakes up, and if he's not right in the middle of the news, he has to make some announcement. So, I mean, 25% tariffs on imports of cars, and probably what'll end up happening is it'll be 25. There won't really be a 25% tariff on most of the cars coming in. It's his style of negotiating. That's what he does. And people are going to get used to it. I've gotten used to it, but it still keeps everybody around me rattled. In the coffee bars, the coffee shops around DC, yeah, they're it's pretty interesting conversations going on. Anyway, that's it for me, guys. It is always a pleasure to do the show. Make sure to sign up. 2Bit Exchange is available in the U.S. Make sure you sign up there. Well, if you want to, make sure that you sign up. We do a great platform, and they are one of the supporters of the show. I think they're going to also support us at Bitcoin Palooza Las Vegas. Looking forward to it. Cheers, guys.
Hey, Randy, I got another home run for us, man. This 2Bit Exchange is absolutely amazing.
Hey, Bruce, what's up, man? Yeah, why don't you tell me about that 2Bit Exchange?
Yeah, that's right. And we're going to be able to list our coins that we want, that we support, and they're going to be on this amazing derivatives platform. It's absolutely awesome.
Derivatives? I love derivatives. I can't wait to be on the trade copy program.
So what I want you to do is set up an account and then send me your UID, and let's set you up with a trade copy system, and you just let it run. Copy our trades. That's it. Easy peasy.
So you want me to open an account, send you my user ID, and you hook me up with the trade copy system. I can't wait. Sounds spectacular.
Hey, Matt. Hey, listen, I met with the guys at 2Bit Exchange while I was in Dubai, and this platform really looks amazing.
Yeah, hi Bruce. Yeah, thank you again for that heads up. I mean, I've looked into this 2Bit platform. It does appear to have everything we're looking for.
Yeah, that's right. 2Bit, Toobit. They have great liquidity. They have futures platform. There's a lot of functionality that I think you're going to like on there. And they really want to work with us. They want to work with the Impact Money Show. And as you and I both know, if they have a good product and they want to work with us, well, hey, that's half the battle.
I mean, basically, I love that copy trade facility. I love the features on the platform. It's basically very simple to use.
Our viewers only need to set it up to copy our trades, and they just do all the trades that we do. Makes it really easy for people to participate. I think they're going to love it. I'm pretty excited about it.
And yeah, it's definitely going to benefit people. I mean, obviously with all the years of experience that we can pack into it, and people can basically benefit from that. Yeah, I definitely think it's a goer.
Hey, David. Yeah, man, I'm excited about it too. I mean, when you think of the ways that we can help our viewers earn money and be able to participate in the monetary revolution, this 2Bit platform just opens up all kinds of doors that they don't have right now.
Hey, Bruce, I'm checking out this platform. It's revolutionary.
That's absolutely correct. And the futures platform is amazing. Great liquidity. And the copy trader program, people are going to be able to make the trades exactly when we make them and make the money that we make. It's a win-win for everybody.
Open for U.S. customers, and you can deposit money with the credit or debit card. Doesn't get better than this.
Beautiful. And what do you think we should use as a referral code?
I think we should use Impact Money. That's the one. Impact Money.